One of my most successful students early in my career was an agent who was struggling with his business. He was living off his wife's income. He was a new agent. He already had achieved a certain level of success in the work that he's done, doing the traditional, tried and true ways of generating business as a real estate agent. And what I did was I showed him the methodology of iteration. And what I mean by iteration is tech companies use iterations to improve their products, their services, their offerings on a continual basis. Now, the way I shared that with him was through teaching. I shared with him the teachings of constant never-ending improvement through technology. And so what does that look like? Once a week, he'd come to my trainings. It was a group training I was delivering to about 20 to 30 agents, depending on the crowd. Sometimes it was 50, sometimes it was 300, depending on the event and the venue. But he worked with me when I was a business development director and recruiter for Century 21 at a local level. And it was at the local level before I worked at corporate Century 21. I later got hired about 6 years after that to be a corporate consultant for the top 30 companies across Southern California. What I did for this student, this agent who was struggling, was I shared with him how to use Facebook, Zillow, Realtor.com, Craigslist, and a variety of other platforms that were ripe and brand new for the taking. And I essentially showed him how to use these platforms to make money and to position himself for future growth based on the growth of those companies. This was before Zillow was public and when it was a new offering for agents. And so what I did was I shared with him exactly what to look for in emerging technology. And not only did he overcome his struggles in his business, but he became a top producer, multi-millionaire, and influencer. He created a whole community around the methodologies I shared with him. And I'm not telling you this to brag or anything. I'm just letting you know that thanks to the mentors and investments that I've made in myself, over $100,000 traveling the world with Tony Robbins, T. Harv Eker, and countless others, I mean, that you probably know if you're watching this, that are very successful in not just the real estate industry, but in business overall. I've been connected to a lot of the early influencers before they were influencers, like Alex Hormozi, Sam Ovens, and a variety of others that I won't even mention now. But with all of these investments I've made in myself, in my business, it's been very useful and very helpful for the clients that I get to see grow their business. And if this sounds like something that you would need help with, feel free to reach out, send me a message, and I'll be happy to continue the conversation. There's actually a framework I talked about recently that talks about the 7 layers of business. These 7 layers are critical. They're critical needle movers in business that can help you if you're stuck, or if you want to grow faster. You can compress time frames and use the time frame that you have available to add more impact in the lives of the people you serve. Send me a message, you know where the links are and all that, and I'll talk to you soon.